This is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. Today I have a layout chair for you. All of these layouts, and I have quite a few of them, they are ready to put away into their albums. And before I did that, I thought that I would share them with you. All of the layouts from this video have process videos up on my channel. This first layout, called Party, was made for Christie's Beautiful Life, 30 Days of Sketches. If you're not familiar, that is a collaboration in which a sketch is provided and everyone makes a layout based on that sketch for 30 days of a month. This layout was made using some sprays in the background. It was also made using some Simple Stories embellishments. This is from a collection called Let's Party. I cut out some stars, I stitched around them, and then I also used some stars. These smaller stars are Paper Studio stars. The rest of the layouts in this pile were made for both Christie's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches and A Punched Out Thursday to Die For. A Punched Out Thursday to Die For, that used to be a weekly hop. It's now a monthly hop, and we use our punches and our dies to create scrapbooking layouts. So for this layout, January Joy, I used a Bo Bunny collection called Altitude. I absolutely love the collection. I love the colors. I don't have a lot of it, but I'm trying to stretch it for all of the winter layouts that I'm making these days. I used a border punch for this strip, and then I used a whole bunch of different snowflakes that were in my stash. I used some punched out snowflakes, some snowflake stickers, and I also used the tops of some drink stirrers because the color went along perfectly with this collection. This layout, Little Bean, was made using a basic gray collection called Junebug. I did some mixed media in the background, and then I layered up a whole bunch of punched out border strips on the bottom. I have some banners up here, and I did some journaling in this box. This layout, Happy Easter, was made with a Simple Stories Easter-themed collection. I punched out some border strips. I put a darker one on top of, below the white one to give a little bit of dimension to the page. And then I have a whole bunch of fussy cut shapes or flowers and other shapes layered up in the center. And then the bunny and the carrot are the focal point of this cluster. This layout, Ice Ice Baby, this was also made using elements of the Bo Bunny Altitude collection. And I again used some layered up snowflakes. Again, some are punched out, some are stickers, and some are both layered together. I used a Martha Stewart punch for this border strip, or these border strips. I have this little punched out bow down here, and then I always love to put photo corners on my photos. This layout, Game Time, was made using a lot of October afternoon papers. I fussy cut out these flower clusters, and I also use another paper that was in my stash, not sure the manufacturer. I used some dimensional adhesive and I popped up two of the clusters, and then I made this little cluster over here using some of the flowers, and then this game wheel as well. This layout, Just Us Girls, was made using a Pink Fresh Studio collection called My Favorite Day. I also used some Prima flowers. I have these strips of photos that my younger daughter got from a party that she went to with her friends. And this is a bow that was created using some of the embellishments in the Pink Fresh Studio collection. I also have a tag here on which I'm going to write some journaling. This layout, Mitsuha, this was made using a basic gray collection called Konnichiwa. I also used some Jolie's Cherry Blossom stickers I use a border punch, and then I use some dies to cut out these letters. All of the layouts in this pile were made for a Punched Out Thursday to die for. For this layout, Christmas, I was so happy to use this Christmas title. I've had this in my stash forever. I've also had the papers that I used in my stash for a very long time. These are authentic papers from a collection called Believe. For this layout, I layered a lot of squares on top of each other, and I used a holly punch from Martha Stewart and a Fisker's scallop punch. I also used some Tim Holtz poinsettias, and I believe these are Recollections cardinals. I'm not totally sure about that. And then I finished the layout off with a couple of little holly leaves and some bling. This layout, Holly Jolly, was made using a K & Company Brenda Walton collection called Peppermint Twist. I absolutely love this collection, and I am sorry I didn't buy more of it, but I love using what I have. In the background is this gorgeous paper. I just love the way you could see Santa flying past the moon, and then we have some snowflakes and wind swirls over here. I absolutely love this background paper. On top of it, I layered some trees that I made by layering a number of punched out border strips on top of each other. I used a Simple Stories title, Holly Jolly, because I thought that it went along well with this collection. And then I completed the layout by adding some jewels and some pearls to all the trees. This layout, No Time Like the Presents, this was made using a Recollections paper pad. I also used some Paper Studio and Jolie stickers, which I layered on top of these half circles. And then I used a banner at the bottom, and I added a couple of jewels around the layout as well. This layout, Life is Good, was made using a Simple Stories collection called Simple Vintage Weathered Garden. I love the color scheme for this collection. I think that it's so unusual. I used some Fisker's punches. I punched out a whole bunch of hexagons, and I have 2 diagonals going down the page. I used a lot of fussy cut elements on this layout, and I used some chipboard and foam stickers as well. This layout, yay, was made using an American Crafts collection called Hooray. I remember I purchased this at Tuesday Morning a while back. For this layout, I did some mixed media in the background. I used my dies and I cut out a number of triangles. For some of the triangles, I did some stitching, and for some of the triangles, I covered them with washi tape. I added some of the cute embellishments from the collection, and then I added a whole bunch of silver glittered stars. These layouts were all made for Mixed Media Mayhem. Mixed Media Mayhem is a weekly challenge in which the collaborators use either a recipe or a sketch, or they do a scrap lift in order to create a scrapbooking layout. I try to participate in it as much as possible. I love using mixed media, and I really love the challenges for this collaboration, but I usually participate approximately 2 times a month. For this layout, XOXO, I used a Simple Stories collection called Happy Heart or Happy Hearts. I used a large pattern paper triangle on this side of the layout. I did some mixed media in the background using some sprays, some modeling paste, and a stencil. And then I absolutely loved the flowers that were on one of the pattern papers, so I fussy cut a whole bunch of those flowers out. And then in opposite corners, I layered up a bunch of embellishments to make some clusters. This layout is called Free Cake, and I made this just recently. For this layout, I put some mixed media in the background. I added some balloons. These are Paper Studio balloons, and a number of stickers from a number of different collections. I have a little spot here where I still have to do some journaling before I put it away. And then I have some Minion stickers that I put little party hats on and added some pom-poms. For this layout, Happy Halloween, I again used some sprays in the background. For this layout, I did some stamping as well. I used a couple of strips of paper from my absolute favorite Halloween collection of all time from Basic Gray called Eerie. And then I used a number of embellishments that I had in my stash, some spiderweb doilies that are purple, and then a whole bunch of other embellishments that I thought fit well on the layout. I love adding bats to my Halloween layouts, so like most of my Halloween layouts, this one has a few bats. This layout, Spooky, was made using some mixed media and stamping and also some texture paste in the background. This photo was taken at Witch Picks of Salem. I have a whole bunch of cute photos of my daughters from Salem. We go there every year, and I just love getting these photos. I think they're really cool. I use some banners on the top and on the bottom, and I use a number of Echo Park chipboard pieces and then some other stickers that I had in my stash. And you could see, once again, I have some bats on this layout. This layout, Celebrate, was made using an Echo Park collection called Party Time. I used those papers and I made some rosettes. We were scrap lifting a gorgeous Rebecca Moore layout, and so I used the rosettes the same way she had them on her page, and then I did some mixed media in the background, and I used a number of different embellishments, stickers, and some jewels to finish off the layout. For this layout, Hooray, I used some sprays in the background and some modeling paste and a stencil. And then I used a whole bunch of different embellishments that were birthday themed. I have some Jolie's balloons. I used a piece of flair from my stash, which I don't often think to use, so I was happy to get that on the page. And then I believe these are Simple Stories embellishments, and then a number of others from some other manufacturers. For this layout, Hocus Pocus, which again uses one of those Witch Picks photos, I layered up a whole bunch of Halloween themed pattern papers. I distressed the edges, and then in the background I have some sprays and some stamping. I also included some punchinella, which is kind of like a ribbon. It is sequin waste. It's left over after they make the sequin, and then they sell us the sequin waste, but it's pretty cool. I think it's great for things like this where you want kind of a, I guess you could say, like grungy look to the layout. But I've seen people use it in other ways. It's just a really cool embellishment to add. I layered up some purple flowers. I used some picks from Joann's and then a couple of other Halloween themed embellishments, and you could see that I got some bats on this page. These bats are from Michael's. I love these bats. I bought a couple of packs when they had them available, and now I'm down to the last few. For this layout, It's Magic, I used a black background. I used some black gesso and then a little hint of iridescent paint in the background. I again used a Witch Picks photo and layered a number of different Halloween themed papers behind it. I cut up a chipboard frame and I used that around the outside of the photo. And then I did some stenciling in the background and used a whole bunch of different colored, but Halloween colored flowers around the photo. This layout, Party, was made using a Simple Stories collection called Let's Party, and I actually used the same banner on another layout that I showed you. I used some sprays and some stamping in the background, and then I used a whole bunch of embellishments that were from that paper collection. I also painted some wood veneer stars and included those on the layout as well. For this layout for you, I used a photoplay collection called Party Girl, but you could see I didn't really use too much pattern paper just to make the banners. In the background, I used a brayer and some acrylic paint in 3 different colors. Then I used a stencil and I stenciled some numbers and some letters too on top of the background. And then I used a whole bunch of different brands of birthday themed embellishments to make 3 clusters. And then this layout, Peabody Museum, this was made with some papers from the Tim Holtz Abandoned Paper Pad. You can see that I again layered them up, distressed the edges, and then I used some Lindy's Magicals in the background. I have some bats, of course, on my layout, and then some Martha Stewart stickers and a couple of other stickers from my stash. These 2 layouts were made for Mixed Media Mayhem and Christie's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches. This first one is called Burr. For this one, I used the Bo Bunny Altitude collection and used some of the pattern paper, I believe from the 6x6 inch pad mainly. I used some sprays in the background, and then I also used some snowflake stamps to add some color and some pattern to the background. I used some jewels to highlight the snowflakes, and a couple of random jewels are on there as well. And then I love the way these polar bears, I believe they're Recollections brand, these match the colors of this winter collection perfectly. This layout, Let's Party, was made using a Simple Stories collection called Let's Party. I used some paper strips, and then in the background I used some sprays, and then I layered some stars, mainly gold stars, on top of it, and you can see there's a diagonal look to the arrangement of the mixed media and the stars. And then I absolutely love these confetti chipboard pieces. The next layouts I'm going to show you were made for a collaboration called Stretch the Sketch. Stretch the Sketch has a fantastic concept. We take a 12 by 12 inch sketch, or a sketch intended for a 12 by 12 inch layout, and then we either stretch the sketch into a larger format or we shrink the sketch into a smaller format. And I've done both. First, I'm going to show you the smaller layouts I made, and then I'll show you all of the 2-page spreads I've created. These layouts were all made for an album that I'm making in response to a class that I took with Janet Fritz from Galaxy Girl Creations called Impactful Storytelling. I began to realize with that class that it was not only important for me to tell the story of my family and my children, but for me to also tell my own story. And in this class, there were 12 prompts. I am responding to the prompts and creating layouts for each one of those prompts. The first layout, called Love, was made using a really old My Mind's Eye collection called Indie Chic. I used some Spellbinders dies. These are dies that nest on top of each other, and I cut them out in different colors. I layered them, and then I added some small pearls as accents. I changed the word that was on these embellishments. I forget what it was before, but I wanted to say love, so I used some letter stickers and created the word love. And then I just added a couple of embellishments and a bow from my stash. This layout together was made using that same Indie Chic collection. It's a very simple layout. I used some strips of paper going down the center, and then I used some embellishments. This one says, "We are like birds of a feather." I added some journaling, a tab, and a couple of little embellishments, plus a whole bunch of gray enamel dots. For this layout, Always and Forever, I used a number of different stickers. I used some Paper Studio layered acetate stickers, some Martha Stewart flowers with little pearls in the center, and some Dollar Tree gold stickers. And then I also used a punch that was in my stash. I used a scrap of green paper to punch that out. And then I had this pink border sticker that I put on the top and the bottom. And then this layout, Always a Student, was made using some mixed media in the background. I used some sprays, some stamping, and some modeling paste. And then I used a number of school-themed embellishments. Some of them are from Basic Gray, and then some of them are from other manufacturers. I layered those all up, and then I included 2 photos, one from when I went to kindergarten, and then one from when I got a certification from the College of New Rochelle a couple of years ago, and now this college is no longer around. I also mounted the whole layout on some black and white paper. This layout, Mitsuha Fun, was made using a Basic Gray collection called Konnichiwa. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful collection. I used some letter dies. I cut out the title and then I offset the brown paper behind the pattern paper so that the title would stand out. I fussy cut out some flowers, and then I also used some Paper Studio cherry blossoms to embellish the page. I have a little journaling block here that I still have to fill out, and I have 2 tags with some twine up in the right-hand corner, and then as a finishing touch, I added this punched out border strip. For this layout, Party Time, I used a Pebbles brand paper pad called Birthday Wishes, and I used a number of embellishments. These look like Simple Stories embellishments. I added some gold stars and some chipboard confetti, and you could see brads all around the outside of this large circle. And I got a lot of photos on this page. I was really happy about that. Love 2-page spreads for getting some quantity of photo scrapbooked. This layout, Flippin' Fun, was primarily made with a die cuts with a view paper pad called the Vintage Collector Stack. There were a whole bunch of images to cut out, so I cut out all of these hexagons and then I stitched around them. I also cut out these letters to write the word fun to make the title Flippin' Fun. I punched out a number of stars, added some enamel dots, and then I also used a Fisker's punch to make a border on the top and the bottom. This layout, Winter Wonderland, was made using an Echo Park collection called Hello Winter. For this layout, I used this snowflake border punch, and I used some stickers from that Hello Winter collection. I love these stickers with the swirls. I added some snowflakes and jewels, and you can see I have a cluster over in the lower right-hand corner and one in the upper left-hand corner, and then a banner in the center. This layout was made to celebrate Scrappy Kia, or Lara Moss's 1,000 subscriber YouTube milestone. I scrap lifted one of her layouts using a Pink Fresh Studio collection called My Favorite Story. I did some mixed media in the background. I used some sprays, some gelatos, and a stencil with some modeling paste. I also used a die to cut out this banner, and then I also used some Pink Fresh Studio dies to cut out these leaves. I fussy cut out these flowers, and then I used a part of a tag to make the title This Makes Me Happy. I am currently participating in a hop that I am really enjoying. It's called a Rainbow Magic Hop. For this layout, we created a monochromatic layout using yellow and neutrals. So I made this layout Sweet Magnolia. This layout uses a lot of mixed media in the background. I use sprays, modeling paste, and stamping. And then I also use some clear stickers that I used to embellish the background. And then all of the papers that I used were from my yellow and neutral colored scrap bin. And for some of the papers, I distressed the edges. And then this final layout called Shadows of the Night was also made for Rainbow Magic, and the color was orange. I used a lot of sprays in the background. I used some modeling paste, and I also added a stencil with some Distress Oxide through the stencil. I did a little bit of stamping, and then I used a number of embellishments in my stack. And of course, I included some bats on this layout because I just love the look of bats on my Halloween layouts. So that completes this layout chair. I hope that you enjoyed this flip through of a lot of the layouts that I have recently created. As I mentioned, there are process videos for all of the layouts on my channel if you wanted to know anything more about any of the layouts. But of course, you could always ask me a question by leaving me a comment, and I will respond back to you as quickly as possible. I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you again on my channel soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.